Hey, HR friends, welcome back. This is day 2 in the 2-4 emotional 6.5 day sequence. In our last video, we talked about this first 24-hour section, and now you can see we moved the white rectangle over, and you see how it goes from dash to dash here. And there are 3 dashes, so from the first one to here, that's the first 12-hour segment we're going to talk about, and then this is the second 12-hour segment we're going to talk about. Now, this is the big picture. And we do the big picture so that we can see what's coming before it happens, but also we're going to come down and zoom this in so we get a better idea of what's going on in this 24-hour segment. This is the dual, so this is the added polarity moments between first-person agitations and third-person agitations. That's what the magenta is showing. And you can see that in both 12-hour segments, there's elevation. In the first 12-hour segment, the elevation comes from the third-person perspective. And in the second 12-hour, it comes from the first-person perspective. Now, if you're wondering the difference between these two agitations, the first person's the agitation with the people around you, the things that get under your skin, cause you to say things and hear things in ways and then make more stress for yourself. Don't fall victim to that. These are predicted moments. Make sure you stay calm and cooperative. That's how you pass the objective. That's how you get feeling better. That's how you reverse the effects of aging and reverse the effects of disease. All right, same thing up here. Agitations at the third person level, those are the bigger pictures like political affiliations or things that you want to argue about societal perspectives. Avoid that if possible. It's not necessary, because once we all balance, we're not going to have anything to argue about. All right, let's keep moving here. This is going to be pretty quick on this section as well. So this is the objective section, and we call it the objective section because these are the 8 relationships that we are constantly being tested on. And these frequencies just come back in different combinations to see how well and how much we've learned. If you have problems with right lower quadrant, these are the relationships that are tied to that quadrant. Left lower quadrant, these are the relationships that you need to balance. If you're having problems with upper right quadrant, these are the relationships you have to balance. And if you're having problems with the upper left quadrant, these are the relationships you have to balance. This entire week is pretty consistent. Just like I said yesterday, not much to say about this. Now we're going to get down into the 24-hour graph. And this is the most important graph because this one's going to allow you to confirm, one, that this pattern is happening. And it's also going to give you all the heads up that you need, because once we zoom this in and we put this time field in here and you select your right time zone, then you can know when agitation is likely. You can feel it. And then instead of falling victim to it and being duped by it and making things worse for yourself or worse for any of the people around you, you can help them stay calm, which is going to help you stay healthy. That's how cool this is. So as easy as it is, what you do is you come down here and you just hunt and peck until you find your time zone. I'm looking for -4. -6 is here every 10 seconds. This thing is changing out. So you can wait for it, but what I would do is just navigate to the bottom and find your time zone. Once you have it, take that picture. That picture is very important. You can be sitting in traffic and go, oh man, this is terrible, and then pull this up and go, oh, look at this, all this agitation that's happening right now. Now, that's something important. I want people to start to see how this looks. So when these agitations happen, they don't just always make us defensive and upset, but they also are going to stimulate us. They're going to make us feel like we have to go do stuff. So these are the times of the day that you're going to see more movement in the day, where the store is going to be busier, the gas station is going to be backed up. Also, if you're in traffic, and this is one of these moments right here, you're going to see people get agitated easy. This is when they're going to be flipping the bird and rolling down their window and saying things they wish they hadn't, because really they're just hurting themselves when they do that. So I'm giving you these pointers because I want you to start picking up on this pattern. In fact, when I go grocery shopping, I don't do it when this is happening. I grocery shop when this is happening. I avoid these points in time if possible, because why? Everybody else isn't doing their best at that time. And if you don't have to be out on the road doing it, don't do it. That's an immediate way that you can start to see how these charts are directing things around you, even though you didn't know it worked that way. All right, let's keep moving here. So I think what we're going to do next is, before we get down and look at the individual guides, let's do the alignment guide here. Now, there are only a couple alignments, and they're both space alignments. So the space is blue, the time would be purple, and these are the largest alignments in this next 24-hour segment. We're going to start with the bottom one first. That's a PE alignment. You can see PE here. P is a 12-hour frequency. E is a 3.5-hour frequency. This alignment's going to last for an hour, almost 2 hours. No, an hour and a half. It's going to last for an hour and a half, and it's going to affect the right and left upper extremity. During this alignment, because this is a 12-hour stronger frequency, I would expect people are going to feel the left side more than they're going to feel the right side. All right, so then the other alignment we need to talk about is the EP. These are macro. Both of these are macros. The E is a 6.5-day frequency, and the P is a 12-hour frequency. This one is going to be noticeable because the E frequency is pretty powerful. Now, in the grand spectrum, it's still lower on the chart. All of these would be stronger, but this, again, this should probably be noticeable, and it lasts for 3 hours. This is going to affect the left upper quadrant. So once you have your times in here, then you can eye that up and you'll have an idea of when this is coming. So if you feel it, you'll know what caused it, and then we'll know what to do about it going forward in the future. So not many alignments to worry about here today. There's some electromagnetic polarity moments. Just keep track of that. And really, that's just to keep you calm and balanced and cooperative. You just don't want to make things more complicated. All right, so let's get down here, and we're going to end off now with looking at the objectives, okay? So this is going to show you the variation in the lesson plan, and I actually had somebody who's been following this, and they already figured out how to make a hit. Like, they were out today, and they had a sequence that was very similar to this right here, and right in the middle is when they started to feel it, and then they could see that, okay, I get it. This goes up, and it's going to take a little time for me to feel it, and then by this time, I'm going to feel it, and then it's going to kind of taper off and go away. That's how, when you're looking at these charts, so if during the middle of this 24-hour sequence in the second 12 hours, somebody starts to feel right shoulder pain, this is about the time they're going to do it, whatever their time zone is. This is the time that you would expect to see that. So that's how you start to read these charts in a way where you're like, okay, that's starting to make sense. Same thing here. If you're going to start to feel your right low back, this up and down movement's going to go on for a little bit, and then it's going to happen again. By the time you get to this sequence, if you're going to feel it, you're going to feel it. This is a lot of movement, so that's kind of what you're keying off of on here. And then once you know the exact times that you felt it, we want you to record that information because we can easily help you dial in what part of these relationships caused that. This is not hard. Understanding how to change the relationship is easy. Changing the relationship and doing that work, that's what we're going to help you with. That's where our expertise is. All right. Now, last thing we're going to do here is talk about the position of the macro frequencies. So there are 12 frequencies that are moving through the body. The macros are the biggest. We're going to start with the largest frequencies first. Okay, so the M, capital M, those are the ear frequencies. And you can see that there's one capital M judging first-person perspectives, and there's one capital M that's judging third-person perspectives. On the first-person side, it's affecting the left leg, and on the third-person side, it's affecting the right leg. This is happening for the entire year. So this year, in my practice, if I was still practicing, I would expect to see more low back and lower quadrant problems this year than anything else because that's how strong these are. Now, these aren't going anywhere. They're just going to stay here. And if you are having low back problems or you're having lower quadrant problems, this should be a high priority for you because this is not going away anytime soon. All right, so the next one is the small m. This is a 7.5-day frequency. Here's the one over here, 7.5-day frequency. Knowing where these are and how they stack up helps you understand what sides of the body and what quadrants of the body you're going to feel the most. So because the small m and the big M are on the left leg this sequence, I would not be surprised if left lower extremity, these are two of the stronger ones. This is the strongest one. This is the second strongest one. So left-sided pain is looking probable, and look at how it's stacking up above it. We've got an E frequency. That's what we're going to do next here. So the E frequency is in the green. You got the E frequency in the yellow. Now, what are these P's? So the P1 and the P1 have to do with the first 12-hour segment. See, these physical rhythms macros are only 12 hours long. So for the first 12 hours, it's one P sequence, and for the second 12 hours, it's a different P sequence. So P1 is where it's going to be for the first 12 hours of this sequence. And P2 is where it's going to be in the second 12 hour of this sequence. Now, let's just look at the bodies and just line it up here. There's a whole lot that's going to be tested on the left. In addition, there's going to be a whole lot that's going to be tested on the right. So in the first 12-hour segment, expect right-sided stuff. In the second 12-hour segment, expect left-sided stuff. And In the second 12-hour segment, there's also some additional rate going on here, okay? This is going to be a little bit challenging. There's going to be a lot going on here, and we're trying to help you sort this out, because what you really want to do is you want to find the imbalances as quickly as possible. That's the best way to start feeling as good as possible. All right, so we're going to develop this more in the future. Don't get frustrated if this part right now isn't making sense to you. Really, what we want you doing right now is watching these graphs and seeing how things are happening depending on what the electromagnetics are telling you, and also how your body's feeling depending on the time of day and where we are within these sequences. All right, that's enough for this section. We'll see you tomorrow.